Welcome, everybody, to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast, the number one podcast when it comes to getting the exact instruction that you need to go out and source the best, the biggest, the most fantastic wholesale opportunities in your marketplace. But speaking of your marketplace, some people listening to this podcast are in very, very, very big markets, very competitive markets. Sometimes it gets a little bit frustrating because you feel like you're working and you're working and you're working and you're having great conversations with distressed property owners, but you just can't break through. And I want to tell you, this is okay. You got to keep your mindset strong. You got to stay focused, because if you do, you will make a breakthrough. I've got an example of this, a perfect example when it comes to this, from two unbelievable wholesalers that they were in Denver, Colorado. They are now in Wichita, Kansas. I want to introduce to the podcast my friends, Miss Jamie Osborne and Miss Gabe Dominelli. Mr. Gabe Dominelli, say hello.
Hey, guys.
All right, so you guys decided, and give us some of your background, but you guys decided to move from Denver to Kansas. And tell me kind of what was going on there. Tell me a little bit about your business when you started, and then let's progress to where it's at now, because things are getting really exciting for the two of you.
Yeah, so in the beginning, we had been wholesaling in Denver, mind you, for a year-ish, about a year. And I mean, we were going for it at the time. We both had, full-time jobs, and we were wholesaling, hustling every day. And things were just not sticking. But obviously Denver was really saturated. It had already had a lot of gentrification, so people were not super receptive. But we just kept trying. And then, long story short, we were so frustrated. We had been going through a lot of programs and trying to learn these different ways and master any way we could. And we turned to YouTube, of all places. We were like, we don't know what we're doing. Went to YouTube, found you, Tom Kroll, all of these amazing people, and then joined TTP. So I'm going to really speed that up, because then we joined TTP, and then we were rocking the TTP course for
about 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So we were about 3 months in, and we did everything before cold calling. And she was a property manager at the time. I was in sales, outside sales. I worked inside sales for a couple years. So I said, man, I can be on the phones all day.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So it just made sense. So I basically said, let's just sign up for TTP and let's see how this goes. We went through another program, didn't work out so well. Not mentioning any names or anything like that, but
sure.
So we signed up for TTP, and then got the ball rolling. And within 3 months, long story short, it was just, we were probably working 40 hours a week in our jobs, and probably 30 to 40 hours at least together in wholesaling, at least. Mm-hmm. And it just wasn't steady. We would have stuff and then fall out.
We were sending letters. We were putting out bandits, but this was before TTP.
Yeah.
We were just spraying in every direction.
A lot. So, and then once we started with TTP, long story short, right before we made the decision to move to Kansas, we said, let's go into a better market. Not better, so to speak. It's just her family's there. She knows the area. She has feet on the ground. And I believe there wasn't as much competition where we were, or where Wichita is.
Wichita, yeah.
So we decided to move, and 5 days, actually the day we moved, we closed on our first deal in Denver, and that was May 24th of this past year.
We pulled into the title office with our U-Haul packed with my car keys. We picked up our very first check. And
I love it. Well, it's really interesting, because this is an interesting point, and I think it's going to relate to a lot of people listening, is that live in bigger markets, especially somewhere like Denver, where you've got some people, some companies with some huge marketing budgets, with huge budgets to spend more because they're going to push up the values, because they're going to do some crazy development, or, like you guys were saying, really gentrify the area. So what happens is, because there's so much, there's always going to be somebody that has a bigger marketing budget than you. You know what I mean? Especially in these areas where the prices are $6, $7, $8, $900 million for just a regular house. right? So there is some unique opportunities in those markets. If you do get a deal, typically they're bigger. But I think like you guys, I mean, I like getting deals all the time. You know what I mean? I get real itchy if we're not doing a deal like every day, every week. You know what I mean? Like it just,
Yeah.
I like the action, even if they're a little bit smaller. I like getting out and getting stacking a lot of those wins. So it sounds like when you went to Kansas, did it feel like the sky opened up, the birds started chirping, and like the sun came out, and you guys were just rocking and rolling?
Here, if I can start out, here's the thing. We were in Denver, and we were meeting up with a lot of different groups. I was sitting down for coffee with a lot of different major players in there because we were doing everything we could to get a deal. I mean, it's just what it was. So when we came here, I visited this place probably 4 or 5 times, and we kept hearing, you guys come out here, because I've always been an entrepreneur, I'll be honest. Started from when I was little. My dad's a real estate investor. He's been investing for 30-something years. Got into direct sales, did some MLM stuff, did very, very well, and I just wanted something bigger. And we were just searching. That's how I got into real estate. But when we came here a couple of times, they said, "Come to Wichita, you will kill this market." I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I had that mind. I think this really helps, and this can help a lot of people out there too. Is that as soon as we moved here, I already had the mindset and the faith that we're going to crush this here. We're going to crush it. And because of that and our work ethic, as soon as we came here, within 3 weeks, like as soon the day I came here, we were on the dialer. And within 3 weeks, we got our first deal here. And then it's just been exploding. Now it's like we're doing average about 4 deals a month here since we've been here. It's awesome. So that mindset, I really think helped us.
100%.
Do you think, Jamie, that you knowing or being from there or kind of understanding the values was a big, because the toughest thing when you go into a new market or somebody's thinking about going into a new market is this a deal or not a deal, right? I mean, you don't really know. It's not in your backyard. You kind of have to learn. You kind of have to talk to other investors and get an idea, talk to your cash buyers, get an idea if you actually have a deal. Did it help you that you already kind of knew?
I wish I could say yes, but I hadn't lived here for 8 years. I was in Denver for 8 years. And so part of me I knew the area, but I didn't, it's 8 years, it changed. Even in a place like Wichita, Kansas, it changed. What I think helped was first admitting and being clear about what I did know and what I didn't know, and not pretending like I knew something I didn't. And second, was getting a realtor on our side to pull appropriate comps. And then everyone that we talked to, we would just have casual conversations. We would be like, oh my gosh, so-and-so bought a house. Well, where do they go? Really? Is that where? Oh, so that's where everybody wants to move. And it wasn't, interrogating. It was really just conversating with friends and families. And we jumped into meetings, rehab meetings, whatever, because that was our only source of connection. And we would stay late and just ask everything and get to know what was going on in the area and where people wanted to go.
It's critical. And I love that you mentioned that you put a realtor on your team, right? Because, I mean, that's so huge. So talk about that a little bit. So when you approach this real estate agent, what do you say? Do you say, hey, we're new to this market. We're going to give you some flips. We need some help. We're going to refer you business. Like, how does it make it so that they're on your team? But they're really on your team. They're really going to work with you. They don't just say, yeah, I'll help you out here and there, but they're really like committed to you.
Yeah.
Well, we actually met this realtor off of Bigger Pockets. So we were on Bigger Pockets, and I
started talking to him back in Denver before we were even sure that we were moving here.
Yep.
So you just picked up the phone and called him.
I started calling everybody.
Yep.
It's that easy. Yep. Okay.
But we were actually, and it's funny because I was just on the phone with a lady this morning that she called me out. She has property here, but she called me out and said, you're from the East Coast. You moved from Denver. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you talked to me in May when we were about to come here because I started calling up a whole bunch of brokerages. And I'm, just seeing if we can get real estate agents on our side, if they have pocket listings, knowing the area, if we can do they work with investors, things of that nature. But this guy, really good buddy of ours now, he's a younger guy. He's probably in his mid-20s, but he's an investor himself. he knows the area very, very well. So he would tell us where, everybody's looking to flip, what areas are good, what areas are not so good, what's a good rental areas, things of that nature. But now he's pulling comps for us on the regular, and because we don't have any affiliation with him too much, other than that, we pay him basically a commission every single month to pull comps whenever we need them.
Now, because the volume has increased so much.
Got it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So we pay him a hefty fee every month, and we're going to start using him for some flips that we're going to be doing here in the near future too, to list.
So is it a percentage of what you're earning on it, just to kind of like almost be like your acquisition manager or your like disposition manager, like a commission per, or is it just kind of a flat fee that you're paying him for the month?
We're paying a flat fee, and here's why though. Kansas is a non-disclosure state, and from what we found on the list of non-disclosure state, it is the non-disclosure kind of place you can be at. I mean, we can't get lists off of list source here. I mean, it's super tight. So for us, we pay a flat fee, and since we're needing, what do you say, probably 5 or several a week.
Yep. Now
we just pay a flat fee just to pull the comps and the data and shoot it over.
Awesome.
Yep.
Totally worth it. It's totally worth it because he might see something that you didn't even know, and then all of a sudden it's worth 10, 15, 20,000 more than you thought, and you get this bigger spread. It happens every single time that if we have a deal that's in a specific area and we know that there's like a realtor that just dominates that area, we're reaching out to them every time, because a lot of times they have cash buyers too that are looking to do something in these areas. I mean, it's a fantastic relationship to have. You need to have a really good realtor or a whole stable of them on your team to be referring you their deals, to bring you cash buyers, and to help you comp if you're in a new market or if you're trying to kind of get your feet under you with wholesaling, with understanding valuations. And because it's always moving, right? The market's always moving, so you want to make sure that you're on top of it. That's what these people do all day long. That's their job. So that's incredible. That is incredible. So because you're a non-disclosure state, so who do you call? Who do you guys call all day?
Go.
All right. Yeah. So here's with the non-disclosure, it's really weird. In this market, you can get the tax delinquent list. That's who we can go to the courthouse. But as you say, I mean, when you call people and they're non-receptive, really, I mean, that list is beat up. So we get the tax delinquent list off from the courthouse. I also get pre-probates from Tangy Cousins from Foreclosures Daily. So I get the pre-foreclosure or pre-probates. We also drive for dollars a lot. That's our main list here. That is an awesome list. I mean, in Denver, we were driving for dollars all the time, and they were always on lists, and it was like she said, it was just pounding my head against a brick wall sometimes. Yeah. Here, they're very, very receptive, and also it's not like they just gained $100,000 in equity in a year. We find a lot of deals. I think probably 60 to 70%, I think we figured the other day, are from driving for dollars.
I love it. Do you guys use an app?
We use Deal Machine.
Deal Machine. Yeah. Yep. We do too. Do you have it as do you have other people driving for you, or are you guys doing all the driving?
I am doing all the driving right now. We actually are just going into the Delaware market where I am. So we're actually going to hire we just set him up yesterday, actually. It's my, I guess you could say, future brother-in-law, who's been in sales for years, and he actually wants to dial for us as well.
Awesome.
Out there, but we set him up on Deal Machine as well. But around here, it's just me driving right now.
And how big of a market is it? I mean, are you finding enough properties to keep you guys busy?
Yeah, there's about, I believe, 400,000 to 500,000 in the Wichita metro, so Wichita and then surrounding areas. So it's a pretty decent market, but also with this market too, I don't know if it's just old school or what. Just being in the Midwest, I'm not sure. It's the first time I've ever been in the Midwest. So when we go to get like code violation lists, it's almost impossible to get a code violation list around here. It really is. to get pre-foreclosure is another thing on the ML or the like Zillow or Redfin or anything like that, or realtor.com. They don't disclose that it's in pre-foreclosure.
Right.
The only way to find out that it was in pre-foreclosure is if we're cold calling like we are, or somebody calls you from a direct mail or however you're marketing. Because once it's foreclosed on, it's foreclosed on.
Yeah.
The bank got it. So when you see on Zillow foreclosed, the bank's already got it.
Yep.
So in order for us to get pre-foreclosures, we don't have that list. So I don't get that list. So another list that I do get, though, is we get an inherited list, which we just started on Lead Sherpa the other day, and that's an awesome list. But the other list that we get is absentee owner. So absentee owner, inherited, we do pre-foreclosure or probate, driving for dollars, and tax delinquent. Those are our 5 lists that we hit.
And you mentioned a list there that I don't think gets talked a ton on the podcast. Or if you guys are wanting to watch this and you're listening to this, make sure you go to the Brent Daniels Real Estate YouTube channel so you can see everybody. But a pre-probate, right? Mm-hmm. So explain to me what pre-probate is.
Yeah. So the pre-probates are from what I understand, I'm not even quite sure I understand it to the extent that I should, are before they hit the next level of probate where things are filed for the heirs that are supposed to divvy it up or what have you. But also from what I understand, and please, I mean, you probably know more about this than I do, the reason that here in Kansas we have to get a pre-probate instead of the probate is, again, due to the non-disclosure.
Right.
We don't have the level of access to get that probate information. So what we've had to do is, for lack of a better way of saying it, those leads on the pre-probate list are fresh. Like these people may have passed
like 2 days ago,
3 days ago. So
like they're very recent.
Yeah, so we've had to develop a different system with that, meaning once we get them in, I'll go ahead. We don't do any direct mail. This is the only time we mail, and I just print them out at home because it's so few. We print and mail those just so they have them, and then we wait a week or two, couple weeks before we actually call them.
Love it.
Because they're so recent. So hopefully, we'll get in there, get in front of their eyes. They have something, but I personally wouldn't recommend, because before we didn't know, and I was calling pre-probates, and it was just a few different reasons. Number one, it's really, really sensitive. It's a very recent traumatic event, and also it's too soon in the process for them to even know what in the world is even going to go on.
Well, plus once it hits the courts, now you've got all the time that it takes to get through the court. A lot of people talking to them, a lot of people getting in their ear, so you got to build that relationship early on for sure.
Right.
But I'm sure, with your market, having 400, 500,000 people, it means you probably have 100, 150, 175,000 houses. As you're driving around building up your Driving for Dollars list, you're going to catch a lot of those other lists as well, right? You're going to catch some of those people that are in pre-foreclosure. You're going to catch a lot of those people that are in probate or inherited or just vacant houses or multifamily, all these type of things through using the Deal Machine app. Use TTP as a code and you get $10 off a month. TTP code for Deal Machine. Check that out. You got to register online first, though. So go on your computer. It's not like just something that you can just get at your app store. So check that out. So 60 to 70% of your deals are Driving for Dollars.
Yep. And then the rest are from those lists that we and I'll say this too. We deal with Eric. Is it
Torrente? Yeah.
Torrente. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we go to flipthisrealestatelist.com. That's the place that we go, that he has that data for Kansas. That's why we go there. Because his data is really, really good too.
Yeah,
he's got an army of VAs that are up, 24 hours a day. I don't know how he does it. He's got little elves or something. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Well, let's break down a deal. Do you guys have a deal that maybe was challenging, maybe that was exciting, maybe it's the biggest deal? Do you have a deal in mind that we can break down so we can ring this bell?
We can do the one we just did today.
You want to?
Yeah,
okay.
we can go over the one we just did today. We actually closed on it earlier. It was one of the bigger deals that we've had in Kansas. So this was, and you're talking about pre-probate too. This was actually off of a pre-probate letter that we called back and I left messages for. And she ended up calling me. I think I left 5 messages.
So she's had a letter at this point and
and
5 messages.
So it's probably something that we followed up on. And follow-up is huge. Most of our I think it's 7 or 8 touches before our average deal. Here.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah, 7,
That's
8
huge. Touches. Everybody listening, don't give up after the first call. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. That's where the magic happens. It really does.
Yep. So we got a call back. I got a call back, and this lady's roommate passed away, and she had, oh my gosh, how much stuff did she have in that house?
I mean, you're talking a full first floor that you squeezed into, and a whole bottom. It was a bi-level house, a whole bottom floor that was packed floor to ceiling. Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. So she passed away, deeded the property over to her, and that lady was just getting Social Security. She could not keep up with payments. She was about 4 months backdated. So this was a probate home. It was also a pre-foreclosure home,
which we weren't aware of at the time.
Yep. So a pre-foreclosure and a pre-probate. And she called us up and said, "Can you look at this house? I don't know what to do with it. I got your messages. I'm ready to sell." So we went over there that day and looked at the house. And I mean, she wanted. I mean, the ARV on this house is around 135, 140 after repair value, after fixed up.
Which I'll interject and say, here in Wichita, that sweet spot for a good first time homeowner is 120 to 180.
Got it. Yep.
Is good.
Yep.
So it was about 135, 140, and when we started talking with her, we basically tell her, what do you want out of this? Like, what is the perfect scenario, that how this would work out? How would you like this to play out? Right? And really, she just wanted some extra money to go and move on, and didn't know how much the house was worth.
Is it free and clear?
No, it actually had a mortgage on it for $55,000, right around there. So we just talked with her for, oh my gosh, probably an hour and a half to 2 hours. We were there. She's a talker, and we ended up locking that deal up for $57,000.
Incredible. And you know what's the craziest thing about it is? It was just timing. You just got her at the right time. Now she's finally ready to make a decision. Like people, right? If you're there and you're being proactive and you're reaching out as often as possible, and you know that this is a solid lead, you're gonna catch them. You're gonna at least get your foot in the door to have the opportunity to give them an offer. Now they may want too much. They may want 57,000. So but you have to be in front of them. You got to be constantly talking to people every single day, leaving messages, planting the seeds, because those come back to you. They truly, truly do. So 57,000. What did you guys sell this thing for?
Well, we sold it. We had an open house.
Okay.
That's how we run things. We have an open house, and she does all the disposition. Awesome. So how this is, we both do acquisitions sometimes.
But he's your expert follow-up. He's a beast at follow-up, obviously.
And once it gets locked up, she does dispositions, and she throws an open house, does all the marketing for everything to our cash buyers list. We had an open house, and we set it out for $69,000, and it sold for $80,000.
Oh, hold on just a second.
We've been waiting for that one.
So really interesting, because a lot of people are probably wondering, how the heck do you put it out at 69 and it gets bid up? This is the power of having the buyers there at the same time, right? This is the power of that. You might not get this deal because look at all these other people. That's the point of your open houses, right? So, and you run that, Jamie?
I do. So I mean, it's been a learning process, but now I just know. We have a pattern and a method that we use, and we go ahead, get it under contract, submit it to title, and then one day I'll send out a MailChimp and I'll post it everywhere. And I make sure in there people explicitly know, hey, there's an open house and we only do an hour. be there from 6 to 7 or whatever. And once they get there, so I send it out, and then the next day I will sit through our buyers list and call them.
Yep.
And I
So
will text
key.
them. And that it is huge, because even if you guys use MailChimp, you'll go through there and look, and you can see your open rate, and you can track all of those KPIs there on how people are opening it. But the thing is how many people I've talked to on the phone the next day have opened the email, but then they're like, oh, well, yeah, I opened it. I looked at it, but I didn't really look at it. And then they'll start asking you while you're on the phone. And then they'll even go, hey, hang on just a second. I'm just going to open it real quick. Mind if I ask you a couple questions? And then you build a better relationship with your buyers. So for us, sometimes taking that second day, I'll break it up in the morning and then in the evening, or go 2 days back to back. It is worth it. Worth it. And then we just really make sure, I just make sure to stick to my guns. I don't take any offers, or if people do throw out an offer, I'll say, hey, great, I really appreciate your offer. I'm going to keep that in mind. If you want to come out, I strongly encourage you to come out. I'd love to meet you. But as I've said, I stay true to my word. This is when we take offers by. If you don't come out, I'll keep you in mind. If it's the highest and best offer, I'll reach out to you.
Don't your buyers get mad? I mean, don't you have some that are in the market that are just like, you're either going to take this offer or I'm never going to, you're not selling me a property. Do they ever say that?
I've had an attitude, not me, them. But 9 times out of 10, they're like, I wonder if it's a test, or B, they just have ran into that before, or they just want to throw it out. But every once in a while, you will get somebody that's like, well, what do you mean? You're not going to give it to me. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not.
The first offer is almost likely to be the best offer. And that's no cash buyer employees, man. No way.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I love it. And then, so that's on the cash buyer side. What do you say to the seller? What do you say to the owner when, 30 people show up for an hour? I mean, sometimes I assume they're there. I know that it's always better if it's vacant and you get a lockbox on it or something, but.
Yeah. I try and send them to dinner.
Yeah.
Now you do send them to dinner.
I do send them to dinner.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you will have somebody that really wants to hang around. But if so, then I say, where do you like to go to dinner? I'll bring them a gift card, and we'll say, hey, don't worry. We'll give you a call if everyone's out before. But we're just going to have a bunch of people come in, inspect, take a look at the property. It usually takes about an hour. But if they leave soon, I'll give you a call. But take your time. If not, I'll hang around for 15 minutes till you get back. Just make it real friendly and comfortable. But Gabe also does a key part too. So
this is huge in the beginning. When you lock it up under contract, you have to let them know what to expect. You have to. Why do I know that? Because we didn't before, and it's and it can get a little confusing, So I basically say, listen, here's how this is going to go. During our inspection period, I'm going to have a couple of my contractors come in. I'm going to have an inspector come in. I'm going to have a couple of our partners come in and look at the property as well. We just want to make sure this gets done quick and easy for you. So we want to do this in one shot to get it over with. I'm going to let you know when that's going to be, and we're going to set that date. I'll let you know within 48 hours when that's going to be. So at that time, you can expect all of us to come over. Not sure how many people that's going to be yet, but I will definitely prep you and let you know.
And then then at that point, Gabe will hand kind of that lead over to, the seller over to me. And I stay in constant communication so they feel overly prepped. And by that time, now I've built a relationship with them, and then they're not going, oh, a whole bunch of weirdos, a whole bunch of strangers are coming to my house. They're going to go, well, Gabe and Jamie are coming to my house. And we also do a key part too. If that person is going to be home and is not going to leave the property for whatever reason, we'll both come, and one of us will be inside and the other person will stay outside. And Gabe does a great job of prepping the buyers that come up and say, hey, if you have questions, ask me. Please do not go in. Please do not ask the owner of the property anything. If you have questions, please just take a look around, come back out, ask me, and we'll get you taken care of.
If they start talking to the owner, I don't play games like that. If they start talking to the owner, your offer is null and void.
Yeah.
If you start talking to my seller and you start talking to other people, do your thing. Go in, Inspect the property. You do this all the time. Go around, move out, give me your offer by whatever time we say, and that's it. You start talking to the seller, start talking to other people. I'm not taking your offer. I let them know that.
Yep.
Too. They should know that.
Well, it's just communicating with both the seller and your buyers. This is what we expect. This is the rules. You cool with that? Great. Show up. We love to see you. If your offer's the best, I'm excited to sell it to you guys and excited to see what you guys do with this project or property, or you keep it forever or whatever it is. It's a smoking deal. I'm excited for you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, right? It's really just, it goes back to that, certainty and kindness. If you have kindness and certainty in your voice and the tone of your voice, you can communicate effectively with most people, right? So, it's just having that, being real respectful to especially the seller, explaining to them what's going on, over-communicating, like Jamie was saying, 100%. And people are fine. People don't care. People, you know what I mean? People think too much. We hallucinate too much in this business on what's the worst that can do, or what fires do you have to put out. But really, you can navigate the waters a lot cleaner if you are communicating every day, every other day, setting expectations and making it really smooth for the buyer and the seller. That's our job. That's what we do. We source opportunities and we make it as smooth as possible for it to get done and for everybody to be happy. So that is phenomenal. So wrapping this thing up, guys, give some advice to people that are, maybe they're in their first month, their first 6 months, they haven't done a deal, they're working hard, they're trying to break through, they have these sales backgrounds and they're like, why isn't this working in this industry? Like, give people some encouragement.
I'll start. So I'm going to brag on him because he is the follow-up king. He is the one that's on the dialer. But here's what I notice. By the time that we go to our first interaction, my first interaction with the seller is when I'll show up on acquisitions with him. For whatever reason, he might want me to be there. And the very first thing they say is, I have talked to other investors, because he'll always ask, well, have any other investors looked at this or anything? And they'll often say, well, yeah, I've talked to a couple people, but you guys are the first people that I've let in my house. And here's why. Because Gabe, there's no other explanation, has followed up, has called and said, I know you were sick last week. How are you feeling? Mm-hmm. I talked to him over and over and over and over again. He's built such a strong relationship on so many different levels that by the time we show up there, he's got to fill me in on all the stuff that they've talked about. And so what I would say to somebody that's struggling, that's just been kicking butt, and they do great in their own field, is don't expect a deal to come from contacting them 1, 2, 3, or even 4 times. Like, dig into that 5th or 6th time if you need to, because like Gabe said, that's where our deals are coming from.
Yep. What I would give to people who are first starting out, you need to learn before you earn. Like, you need to get in, and not only that though, don't overlearn and overanalyze stuff. You need to act. Like, right. You need to act. Like, nothing gets done. You will learn after you act. You'll learn more doing than you will sitting on YouTube or reading books or, listening to another podcast and stuff like that. So the number one thing though is you have to have an entrepreneurship mentality. Like, you can do all these steps. You can do everything that they're teaching you on, from this program or from whatever else you're watching on YouTube, any books. You can do it with an employee mentality, and it won't work for you.
Right.
It won't. You can do the same steps and the same things as an entrepreneur and an entrepreneurship mentality, and it'll work for you. Because you're not expecting, it's not this business isn't linear, okay? It's exponential. Like, you'll be doing stuff and doing stuff. It took us almost 6 months to get our first deal from the program. Right. I'm working with TTP.
Yeah.
Well, if you're expecting a deal in like a month, you're like, oh my God, there's nothing happening. Guys, it's, the people are seeing success now. It's not what we're doing now. It's what we did a year and a half ago that we planted those roots. And now you're just seeing the fruit from it.
Yep. And now you're closing a deal every week.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Incredible. I love it. I love what you said there, Gabe, because it's the truth. Like, take action. Have results. That's your education. Stop this whole thought of getting educated in this. take action, get results. That's your education. That's the whole point of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely incredible. You guys are the best. I love it. This is so exciting. Well, thank you guys for being on the podcast. You guys were absolutely phenomenal. I think it's going to speak to a lot of people that are churning and trying and working and doing it. I think you're right. You got to keep it up. You got to keep it going. You got to keep your faith. You got to keep your mindset strong. And you got to cross that bridge from belief to fact. And then all of a sudden, all those efforts, it's the law of cause and effect, right? You're putting all that cause in. You're having all these conversations. You're doing all the right things. And then all of a sudden it starts breaking through. So glad to finally get you guys on the podcast. It was absolutely wonderful. Thank you, guys.
I appreciate it.
We
Thank
really
you,
appreciate
Brent.
it.
Yeah.
And anybody out there listening, if you are interested in joining the most proactive group in real estate investing, it is the TTP family. Go to wholesalinginc.com/TTP. Check out what the program's about. Check out all the testimonials. If it feels good in your gut, sign up for a call. Would love to work with you personally. That's it. That's the show. You guys are amazing, and I encourage everybody listening every single time to go out and talk to people. Love you guys. See ya.